this video, we'll explore a machine learning algorithm that works on this boosting technique. It's the gradient boosting algorithm. It is more popularly known as the gradient boosting machine or GBM. Now, the models in GBM are built sequentially, and each of these subsequent models try to reduce the error of the previous models. But how does each model reduce the errors of the previous models? That is done by building the models on the errors or the residuals of the previous predictions. This is done to determine if there are any patterns in the error that were missed by the previous model. Let us take up an example to understand this better. So here we have the following data with two features, age and city, and the target variable is our income. So based on the age and the city a person is living in, we have to determine what is the income he is earning. Note that throughout the process of gradient boosting, we'll be updating the following: the target of the model, the predictions from the model, and the residuals. To simplify the understanding of the gradient boosting machine, we have broken down the process into 5 simple steps. Let's look at our first step. So the first step is to build a model on the given data and make predictions. Let's go back to our data. So for the first model, my target will be the income values given in the data. So I've set the target as the original income values. And we build the model using the features age and city with the target income. Using this trained model, we'll be able to generate a set of predictions, which are supposed as follows. So the first model gave me the predictions for ID1 to be 53,500, for ID2 to be 61,000, and so on. Now I'm going to store these values with my data. And this is where I complete my first step. Now the next step will be using these predictions to get the errors, which will be used further as target. So this is what we had from the last step. We got these predictions from model 1, and we have the actual values of income. So using both of these columns, I'll be able to generate some error. I will simply subtract the actual income and the predictions of income. Now, as we mentioned previously, the successive models focus on the errors. So these errors right here will be my new target, and that covers up my step 2. Moving on, the next step is to build a model on these errors and make predictions. As mentioned previously, the idea is to determine if there are any hidden patterns in the error. So using the error as target and the original features, age and city, we'll train a new model and generate the predictions. Note that the predictions in this case will be the predicted error values and not the predicted income values, since our target was error. Let's say the model gave the following predictions. Now what we have to do is update the predictions of model 1. So we go back to this data. We had the predictions by model 1, which were, let's say for ID1, we can see the actual value was 51,000. The prediction was 53,500. Now we'll add these errors to the model 1 predictions and get the updated model predictions, which will be predictions by model 2. So this right here are my updated predictions, which I have calculated using the model 1 predictions and the generated error. As you can see, the new predictions are closer to my actual income values. Finally, we repeat the step 2 to 4, which means we'll be calculating new errors and setting this new error as target. So this is where we left in step 4 and where we updated the predictions. Now, can you guess how will we calculate the new error? We'll use this updated predictions and the actual income values to generate some errors, which will again be my new target. And we'll repeat the same process till either the error becomes 0 or we have reached the stopping criteria, which can be, say, a limit to the number of models we want to build. So that's the complete step-by-step process of how the gradient boosting algorithm works. In a nutshell, we built our first model that has features X, which was age and city in our example, and the target Y. Let's call this model H0, which is a function of X and Y. Then we build the next model on the errors of the last model, and a third model on the errors of the previous models, and so on, till let's say we build N models. Each successive model worked on the errors of all the previous models to try and identify any patterns in the error. Effectively, I can say that each of these models are individual functions having independent variable as X in all the cases, and the target is the error of previous combined models. So to determine the final equation of the model, We built our first model H0, which gave me some predictions and generated some error. Let's call this complete result as F0 of x. Then we built the next model and added the new predicted errors to F0 x. This new function here is F1x. And similarly, we built the next model and so on till we had n models. So the final equation will be something like Fn minus 1 of x, which was the predictions per previous model, and some new predicted errors which was added to this model. And finally, we were left with some error En. So at every step, we are trying to model the errors which help us reduce the overall error. Ideally, we would want this En to be 0. As you can see, each model here is trying to boost the performance of the model, and hence we use this term boosting. But why do we use the term gradient? Here's the catch. Instead of directly adding each of these models, we add them with a weight or a coefficient. And the right value of this coefficient is decided using the gradient descent technique. A more generalized and commonly known form of this equation of ours would be the current equation Fn plus 1x, which is equal to all the previous models Fnx which we have built so far, plus the model we are working on, which is h of x here, and the coefficient gamma. So I hope you have a broad idea of how the gradient boosting algorithm works. Now in this video, we'll be focusing on how the value of gamma is calculated. So we'll use the gradient descent technique to decide the right value of these coefficients gamma, such that we minimize the loss function. Now let's dive deeper into this equation and understand the role of loss function and gamma in this equation. So let's talk about the loss function first. Recall this loss function for regression y minus y dash whole square. Here y is the actual target value and y dash is the predicted value for the last model. So a square difference of these would give you the loss. Now in our case, the target here is y, whereas y dash can be considered as the updated predictions from the last models. So I can replace y dash here with Fn of x. This basically represents the actual target minus the updated predictions from all the models we have built so far. And this is effectively what we were doing throughout the example. Now I believe you would be familiar with the gradient descent process, which we have covered in the previous modules. Here we are going to use the same concept and we differentiate this equation that we have right now with respect to Fn of x. When we do that, you'll get the following equation. For the differentiation of this, you'd get minus 2 y minus Fn of x. Now this is commonly known as the pseudo-residual, which is the negative gradient of the loss function. And this was the loss function. So to simplify this part, we're going to multiply both sides of the equation with minus 1. And the result would be as shown on the slide here. We'll get a minus sign here and the minus from the RHS would vanish. Now the RHS on this side is similar to the error we were discussing, right? Here we were considering this error En, which was actually y minus the updated predictions of all the models. So I can say that this En will also be equal to this LHS of the equation. And now I'm going to replace the En value with this pseudo-residual. So this is our final equation. And it's the best part about this algorithm that it gives you the freedom to decide the loss function. The only condition would be that the loss function should be differentiable. Now for the ease of understanding, I used a very simple loss function here, y minus y dash whole square. But you can change it to a hinge loss or a logit loss or anything. Now the aim is to minimize the overall loss. Let's see what the overall loss would be here. So the overall loss would be the loss we get from all the models we have built so far, the models up to n, plus the loss from the current model that we are building. Now the first part of this overall loss, which is this part, that's fixed since these are the predictions we have generated from the previous models we built. So at this moment, I cannot change this value. But the second part of this equation is the loss by the model that we are currently working on. And the loss of this model cannot be changed, but we can still change the gamma value, right? Now we need to select a value of gamma such that the overall loss is minimized. And this value is selected using the gradient descent process. So the idea is to minimize the overall loss by actually deciding the right value of gamma for each model that we build. So the next model when we build, that model will again have a coefficient gamma n, and we'll try to select the right value such that the overall loss is minimum. Now we'll be focusing on a special case of gradient boosting model, which is the gradient boosting decision trees, or the GBDT. In this case, each of the models we build, like each of these h of x, would be a tree. So here's the interesting part about GBDT. The gamma value in this case is calculated at every leaf level and not at the overall model level. So you can imagine it would be something like shown on the screen. Each leaf of the tree would have a gamma value. And that's how the gradient boosting decision trees work.